This is Mike Houston, and welcome to DebtCaseDismissed.com and the Simple Steps to Winning Your Debt Case tutorial. In this short video, I'll show you how to win your debt case against what I like to call scavenger debt collectors. I'll walk you through how to download and fill out all the legal forms you'll need and go over the step-by-step roadmap you can follow to get your case totally dismissed. I'll also tell you a little of what I've learned about the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and how it protects your rights from the scavenger debt collectors. But first, let's look at the documents you'll need and how to download and fill them out. The first thing you'll need to do is get the Adobe Reader. The Adobe Reader is a free download, and it will help you to download and read the document files. So go ahead and download that Adobe Reader, and the files will look like this. These are the actual documents that you will file in the county court system. Now, I've already filled out, Sacramento County, State of California. That's where you'd put your state and county, and the case number and the name of the plaintiff. Now, the case number and the name of the plaintiff, plaintiff's attorney, and address and all that will be on the summons. So that's where you get that information. You fill that out. Then you're going to go down to the next part of the bottom and fill out the address, your city, your state, your zip code, and a phone number. Now, the county clerks need to have this information to file the documents. And if you don't want the plaintiff to have your phone number, if they don't already have it, you just put in an alternative phone number in there. No one's ever called the number, but you've got to have one in there. So what happens next is these will all auto-populated to all the other forms, and there are 4 forms in here. And so you just fill out the first form, and they've already filled out. So I've used the Midland Funding as the plaintiff in this case because Midland Funding is really the biggest company that we've run against week in and week out for over 5 years or 8 years, or however long it's been. And we have won cases against these big companies by filing these documents for our clients. And so there are about a half a dozen of these companies that buy debt, and just Midland Funding is one of them. And that's why I put them in there. Now, on number 1, on the answer to the plaintiff's petition, it says, I dispute the validity of this alleged account and demand a complete accounting as required by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and how to file these forms in a little bit. But now that you've filled out the forms, let's go back to the member-only access page. Before I walk you through the simple steps, I want to share a little bit about why you can win your case, how we got into this whole thing, and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. I started helping people negotiate payments in about 2006, and I was able to win some awesome settlements or payments for my clients that they could easily afford. And until it became clear that the collectors no longer were willing to negotiate payments. They found out, I guess, that it was easier to collect by hiring attorneys and collecting in court. But here's why we've won hundreds of cases. When the scavenger debt collectors buy debts, they buy debts by the thousands around the country. What they are actually buying, what they get, is a spreadsheet of names and account numbers. And they rarely get any real history to prove their cases, like a record of payment or something even with your signature on it. So in most cases, you have the law on your side. It's called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and it gives you the right to request a validation of the debt from the collector, or in other words, proof. In fact, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is federal law, and it applies to your state and every county in this country. You can Google the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act online, and it's just chock full of rights you might not even know you have. So, knowledge is power. I would recommend that you read through the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It's really pretty simple to read. It's not full of a lot of legalese or anything. and it's written in a way that every consumer can understand what it says. Then go ahead and read the true story of our very first client that won her case. That was Miss J. West, and that story is right on the front page of the debtcasedismissed.com. So let's go over the simple steps to winning your debt case. Now, we've already downloaded the defendant's documents file, and we filled out the document forms and all that. So let's skip down to the next thing, which is you're going to print documents. Now, as you first going to print 2 copies of every document, and then you're going to sign them, and I would recommend signing them in blue ink. That way everyone knows that that's an original signature and that's your signature. So the first 2 documents that we already looked at are the entry of appearance and the answer to the plaintiff's petition. You're going to take them down to the county court and the clerk's office, and if you don't know where that is, that address would be on the summons, and you're going to take it to the civil desk. And the county court clerk is going to take those 2 copies, and they're going to stamp them with their date stamp. And that's what they do. They do a lot of stamping over there. So they're going to keep one of the original copies in the file and enter it in the court docket. Now, these days, a lot of counties have websites, and they scan these documents in the court docket. So ask the county clerk if they have a website, if you don't know what that is already, and how to get in there and look at your case. So and then you can see that your documents have been indeed scanned in, and you can follow the progress of the court case. Remember, you have 30 days to do that. From the time you get the summons, you have 30 days to file those first 2 documents and make your entry of appearance. And that's where most people lose their case. If you don't do that within 30 days, you will lose by default just because you did not show up. You're not actually going to have to go to a court hearing in most counties, but you will have to enter an entry of appearance by filing it with the county court clerk. Then you're going to take the other 2 copies that were stamped by the county court clerk, and you're going to mail those to the plaintiff's attorney. And you mail those certified return receipt. Now, the post office now has an electronic certified return receipt process, and it's about $3.50, and it electronically tracks the mail, and when they sign for it, when the plaintiff's attorney signs that they've received it, you'll have a record that they received that document. So there'll be no question in the court process that you followed court process, and they did indeed receive your court stamped copies. You're going to wait 30 days after filing the first 2 documents and put that in your calendar. And then you're going to mail the next document that's provided, and that is the request for admissions and production of documents. That's a discovery document. Now, discovery documents are documents that you might have seen on court case television, or if you've been to court. Both sides have the right to ask the other in writing, or any documents they have, to provide any documents or any witnesses or anything else. And so our request for admissions is got a lot of questions, and ask them everything about what they have, and it requests that they produce any documents that they have. And the truth is that they rarely produce any documents. But this is a way of putting their feet to the fire and demanding they produce these documents, as the validation of the debt requires. So the thing is that when you send these requests, they may also send requests for admissions back to you. So when they do that, don't be intimidated, because there are answers in the debt resolution handbook that you can use, or you can see that, how they answer your questions, or with non-answers, really. So download the debt resolution handbook and look at page 44 and 45, where there are answers or sample answers to questions, or email me. Now, that email comes right to my desk, and I will help walk you through that part of the court case. That may get a little where you have to fill out some questions, but remember, it's their burden of proof. It's not your burden of proof. And most people really don't even remember these debts. They're so old, so you may not have any kind of a record of it, and it's not really your burden of proof. Then after you mail the request for admissions, again, you're going to wait 30 days, and you're going to go back to the county courthouse, and you're going to enter the request for dismissal. Now, the request for dismissal is the last document in our file, and what you want to do is go down there again, give it to the county clerk, 2 copies. They will keep one, put it in the court docket, and you take the other and mail it to the defendant's attorney, certified return receipt. After that's done, the judge then will have all the information. You'll have anything they sent you. They'll have anything you sent them. And it's pretty much done after that. But, we have some cases that have been on docket for 3 years, and there have been no action. Once you take action, there's really no incentive for these attorneys and these collectors to do anything, because they win most of their cases by default, and they really don't want to have to send an attorney down to court and to deal with this. So most of the time they're just going to drop the case and they'll dismiss the case. So you probably will have questions, and if you do, please send me an email, and they do go right to my desk. Remember, you have 30 days after receiving a summons to file your first documents and your entry of appearance. So now that we've gone over the forms and the steps you'll need to take to win your case, don't let these scavenger debt collectors garnish your wages. Click the purchase button below, and I sincerely hope this review has helped you understand the process, and thank you for watching.